Good morning, and welcome to UUCA. Let's sing together. Please rise in body or in spirit, or both. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place. You sound good. Here we go. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights. Amen. Thank you. And you may be seated. Good morning. I'm Sonia Tinsley Hook, a lay minister here at UUCA, where we welcome everyone, whether you are joining us online or in person. No matter your religious background, be it Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, atheist, theist, or agnostic, whatever your beliefs about the divine, you are embraced and honored in this community. We celebrate the richness of our diversity, honoring all identities and experiences. We cherish our non-binary, genderqueer, and trans members, as well as our gay, lesbian, bisexual, and heterosexual friends. Your Black, Indigenous, and people of color identities are valued, and we respect the uniqueness of your neurodiverse selves. Additionally, we recognize and appreciate the variety of abilities and ages within our community. This is your space, and we are your community. I am so excited to welcome our guest speaker this morning, Gabrielle Claiborne. Gabrielle is a TEDx speaker, author, successful entrepreneur, and recognized community leader whose work has been featured in Forbes and on NPR. And we are incredibly lucky to have her with us this morning. Now I would like to welcome Jennifer Thilo, leader of Interweave, to light our chalice. Now let's say the chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace. Amen.
Our story this morning is Not Quite Narwhal, written and illustrated by Jesse Sema. Kelp was born deep in the ocean. He knew early on that he was different from the other narwhals. His tusk wasn't as long as everyone else's. He had different tastes in food, and he wasn't a very good swimmer. But his friends didn't seem to mind, so Kelp decided he wouldn't either. That is, until he was swept away by a strong current. I wish I was a better swimmer. Kelp found himself at the surface, closer to land than he had ever been before. High up on a cliff, he spotted a mysterious, sparkling creature. It looked so familiar. It looked like kelp. Kelp swam toward land as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that he could catch up with the creature that looked just like him. When he finally reached the shore, Kelp felt a little bit anxious. He had never left the ocean. He was nervous about walking for the first time, but the land creatures made it look so easy. Oof! It wasn't, ow! Eventually, he got the hang of it. Everything on land was strange and beautiful, but also kind of scary. Kelp began to think he might never find the creature that looked just like him. But as he stumbled out of the forest, land narwhals! Actually, we're unicorns, and by the looks of it, so are you. Kelp had never heard of unicorns before. They taught him all sorts of new things about his tusk. We call them horns. Wow. They introduced him to unicorn delicacies, and they showed him how to gallop. There was no doubt that Kelp was, in fact, a unicorn. He was having so much fun that he didn't want to leave. But then he remembered all of his friends under the sea. Kelp missed them terribly, so he had to say goodbye to the unicorns and return to the ocean. Kelp swam toward home as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all, hoping that the narwhals would still like him, now that he was a unicorn. When he finally arrived, Kelp had butterflies in his stomach. "Welcome home!" Kelp took a deep breath and told his friends the news. "It turns out I'm not a narwhal." "Of course you aren't. I'm a unicorn." "We all knew that." They took it quite well. Kelp was happy to be home, but now that he had experienced life on land with the unicorns, he couldn't seem to forget them. Did he want to be a land narwhal with the unicorns or a sea unicorn with the narwhals? Kelp couldn't decide. But then he realized that maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to choose. I'd like to, thank you. I'd like to invite the members of Interweave to join us on the chancel this morning for the movement prayer. We invite you to rise as you are willing and able. First, we bow to honor the Spirit of life. We lift our arms and embrace the gifts of Spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. We share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present. Honor, embrace, gratitude, share, be present. At this time, we would like to invite our children, 5th grade and under, to exit and join preschool or their creative workshop this morning. Please note the location for these is just down the hall on the 1st floor. As our children recess, please take this opportunity to greet your neighbor, especially someone you have not met.
All my days I've my mind. I don't condemn, I don't convert. This is a calling, have you heard? Bring all the others to the fold, 'cause no one's gonna lose their soul. Here we go. Love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
La 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 la.
Love is my religion. You can take it or leave it. You don't have to believe it. So don't let nobody stop us. Free spirits have to soar. With you I share the gift that always gives us more. I don't condemn, I don't convert. This is a calling, have you heard? Bring all the lovers to the fold, 'cause no one's gonna lose their soul. You can sing along now. Here we go. Love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
Love is my religion. You can take it or leave it. You don't have to believe it. Well, I'm done searching now. I found out what this life is worth. Not just in the books that I find, but also by searching my mind. It's how I know love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
Love is my religion.
La 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 la.
Love is my religion.
Love is my
You can
religion.
take it or leave it. You don't have to believe it. Love is our religion. Come on, you got
Love
this.
is our religion.
Love is our religion.
Love is our religion.
Love is our religion.
Love
Last
is our
time.
religion.
Love is our religion. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Let us put hands on hearts. Feel the heartbeat, connection to life. Breathe in peace and say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others. And that love can heal the world. You are invited to say the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning. Speak their names out loud in this holy space now, or enter them into the chat. May all beings find connection. May all people find comfort. May all of us find ways to be more loving to one another. Spirit of life, love eternal, we rest in holy gratitude. We surrender to a mystery beyond ourselves, asking forgiveness for our mistakes. Those times we have been selfish or thoughtless. Breathing in and out, we offer grace. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We honor our earth, supporting and sustaining life. We breathe in, opening our hearts in wonder for just one moment, feeling a deep connection with all beings. Let us calm our bodies and our minds. We breathe in peace, and then we exhale. We relax into this space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the silence. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. This week, we lost one of the civil rights movement's most inspiring voices, Bernice Johnson Reagan, song leader, composer, historian, scholar, activist. As a teenager in the 1960s, just 2.5 hours away from here over in Albany, Georgia, she was a founding member of the Freedom Singers. The Freedom Singers were organized by SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, to help spread the message of the civil rights movement, to inspire more people to join the movement, and of course, to help raise the funds that are always needed. Later, Bernice Johnson Reagan would go on to found the beloved all-black a cappella vocal ensemble group, Sweet Honey in the Rock. Over the years, her music and her words have inspired so many of us to find the strength, hope, courage, and yes, the joy to keep going in our work for social justice and beloved community. Activist James Foreman once described Bernice Johnson Reagan like this: "I remember seeing you lift your beautiful black head, stand squarely on your feet, your lips trembling as the melodious words, 'Over my head, I see freedom in the air.'" Those words came forth with an urgency and a pain that brought out a sense of intense renewal and commitment of liberation. And when the call came to protest the jailings, you were up front. You led the line. Your feet hit the dirty pavement with the sureness of direction. You walked proudly onward singing, "This little light of mine." And the people echoed, "Shine, shine, shine." Bernice Johnson Reagan understood the unique power of collective singing to bring people together. And she once said, after a song, the differences between us were not so great. Somehow, making a song required an expression of that which was common to us all. This music was like an instrument, like holding a tool in your hand. She also said, "There is nowhere you can go and only be with people who are like you. Give it up." And lastly, this gem of wisdom, she's got so many, it's hard to pick. If you're in a coalition and you're comfortable, you know it's not a broad enough coalition. I started my words today by saying that we had lost one of the movement's most inspiring voices, but I was wrong to state it that way. Although Bernice Johnson Reagan is no longer here in body, her spirit and wisdom and voice remain with us to inspire us forever. Whenever we gather in beloved community to help model and advance peace, justice, and shared understanding, as we do here at UUCA every single Sunday and throughout the week as well, we are following the lead of Bernice Johnson Reagan and helping to bring about the loving world she envisioned and to which she dedicated her life, from a teenager all the way to age 81. She was always reminding us to walk our talk and to live out the meaning of our songs. This month, one of the important ways we are walking our talk and living out our songs is by sharing our plate with Nicholas House. Nicholas House is an Atlanta shelter that takes in unhoused families regardless of their makeup. They believe that in the midst of a trauma as big as homelessness, no family should be traumatized further by being forced apart to find shelter in different places. In many other shelters, fathers and boys as young as 12 are separated from their families and forced to find accommodation elsewhere. Each year, Nicholas House provides shelter and services to more than 100 families in need of shelter, nearly 400 people, including nearly 300 children, helping them through the crisis of homelessness and enabling them to become permanently self-sufficient. We ask that you give generously to support the beautiful and unfortunately necessary work of Nicholas House. that they do each and every day in the spirit of beloved community. This morning's offering will now be gathered and very, very gratefully received. In honor of Bernice Johnson Reagan, we are now going to sing one of her most beloved songs, Ella's Song, which she wrote to immortalize her own beloved mentor, teacher, and mother of the civil rights movement, Ella Baker. Amen. And thank you, Bernice Johnson Reagan. Amen. Thank you. And now please join me in the dedication of the offering. to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Amen.
Good morning, UUCA. Okay, let's try that one more time. I know y'all have a reputation, okay? So don't let that reputation down for me, okay? Good morning, UUCA. It's so great to be with you all this morning. You know, what a lot of folks don't know about me is, in addition to what Sonia shared about who I am and what I do, I'm also a fourth-generation Pentecostal preacher's kid. So buckle up. You know, when I came out to my parents 14 years ago, my dad came up to me and said, I don't want to say son, but you know who. You're supposed to be the fifth-generation preacher in the family. I said, Dad, I am. I'm just not preaching the way you wanted me to. Well, that was the last time I spoke to him. Okay? But I honor that tradition because it has allowed me to show up the way that I show up today. My name is Gabrielle Claiborne. My pronouns are she, her. I am co-founder and CEO of Transformation Journeys Worldwide. We are an inclusion training consulting firm with a trans and gender expansive focus. We work with a myriad of Fortune 100 and 500 global organizations, helping them on their journey of transforming their environments to be fully inclusive for trans and non-binary folks. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm glad that I don't need to decide if I'm a Warhol or a unicorn today. Are y'all okay? You know, I'm so excited about being with you all here today because this has been a long time coming. I know a lot of folks here in this community, and they've been trying to get me here, and I'm so glad that I have an opportunity to spend just a few minutes with you this morning to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart: authenticity and the power of community. And I want to hopefully invite you to get comfortable being uncomfortable in the spirit of learning to do better. You know, oftentimes when I talk with clients, I share with them what you're willing to get out, what you get out of a conversation is what you're willing to invest in it. So I really want to invite you to lean into this conversation with ears to hear, eyes to see, hearts to understand, and hopefully feet to take action. Can I get that commitment from you all? Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm committed to be uncomfortable today. Okay. I'm a school teacher up here today, okay? Brene Brown says, authenticity is the practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. You know, when I think about this as it relates to my own lived experience, me living authentically means living my life fiercely, out loud, unapologetically, without allowing others' expectations to determine who I should be and how I should show up. Now, you might be thinking, Gabrielle, that is so much easier said than done. And I totally agree with you. Because, see, it took me years to let go of the person I thought I was supposed to be and whom others expected me to be. So I'd like for you to think about this a little bit this morning with me. What might authenticity look like for you? Is there a vocational interest that you've wanted to explore? Is there a relationship that perhaps you might need to get honest about? Is there a passion that you've had sitting on the back burner for way too long now? Are you actually considering your second or third act in life, wherever you are in your life? Well, as I contemplated what authenticity might look like for me, I realized that it would be totally contrary to the expectations of my friends and family, to my colleagues in my workplace, to my friends and family in my spiritual community, and to a culture that really didn't understand the expansiveness of gender, in that one's biological sex doesn't always determine a person's gender. It was these expectations that contributed to me living 40 years, that's me, of my life in a place of constant unrest, burdened by fear and confusion, in a place that was not in integrity with my heart. And I did this because I feared the rejection and discrimination from others. I feared losing my relationships with my family, with my friends, with my Creator, and losing a career that I spent 30 years of my life building. I thought that if I'd stepped into my yes, who I was always meant to be, that I would risk losing everything. But with every courageous step I took, I realized that my fear of losing everything paled in comparison to the regret of denying the truth of who I was always meant to be. Did you get that? Okay? This realization set me on a course of taking some very frightening steps that I didn't even know where they would lead me. Some of these steps resulted in pushback from family and friends. Some of them resulted in me being jobless and homeless for a season. And it was during these challenging times that my friend and now business partner, Linda Herzer, who is with us this morning, wave your hand, Linda. She shared a piece of wisdom with me. She reminded me, Gabrielle, life is meant to be lived in the moment. Yes, it's great to have goals, and we all have goals, but how you show up today determines your tomorrow. Our job is to learn from today's lessons so that we can create a better tomorrow for ourselves and others around us. Over time, as I honored her sage advice and stayed the course, I began to realize that even though the form of my relationships with my family and friends were changing, and even though I had to repurpose my career, I began experiencing the view on the other side of authenticity. And I just have to say, it was more beautiful than ever. Having navigated some difficult seasons in my life, I am now rebuilding my relationships on a solid, unshakable foundation of honesty, trust, and integrity. This here is a picture of me and my 3 kids. You know, oftentimes people ask, Gabrielle, how are your kids how have they been around your transition? And my response is, it depends on what day you ask me, because their response are different. You know, as much as this has been my journey, it's their journey as well. And in the process, I have learned important things like learning to hold space for them, showing how to love them from a distance, continually reassuring them that they're actually getting a better version of me. Over time, they're starting to make peace with this in their own ways. And, you know, sometimes it's 2 steps forwards and 1 step back, but I embrace every moment that I have with them. Now my work is focused on creating a world that works for everyone, inviting and hopefully inspiring others to live as their most authentic self, to say yes to their yes. Now, I share all this with you this morning because as a transgender woman, oftentimes people think that my journey of authenticity is so unlike their own that there are no common themes. But this is not the case. The reason being is that the journey of authenticity is not a respecter of persons. It requires all of us to act on the same universal truths in order for us to live our best lives, regardless of what our individual lived experiences are. In my self-help memoir, Embrace Your Truth, The Journey of Authenticity, and like every good author, I have books with me. So if you'd like to learn more about my book, I invite you to stop by the table to learn more. But in this book, I share these universal truths, what all of us must do to embrace our authenticity. Things like learning to listen to our hearts. Did you know your heart speaks to you in 5 different languages? Through your emotions, feelings, intuitions, dreams, and bodily symptoms. And get my book to learn more about those. I believe we must learn to hear and understand these languages, y'all, because we live in a culture that frowns on listening and living from our heart. We are conditioned to rationalize in our mind and ask things like, does that step make sense? Is this decision safe for me to make? Is that opportunity too risky to pursue? You see, if you didn't already know, our mind's job is to keep us safe in a place of comfort and familiarity. Consequently, many of us get stuck in what I call a place of inauthenticity. But what I've learned is that our hearts will not mislead us. So I believe we must learn how to trust and act on that still small voice that our heart has been trying to tell us, some of us, for many years. You know, in order to embrace our authenticity, another thing that I believe we must do is develop a support system around us. I'll let you know that the journey of authenticity is not meant to be traveled alone. Had it not been for my support system cheering me on as I felt like I couldn't take another step, when I felt all alone, I shudder to think where I would be today. You see, your support system becomes your lifeline when you feel like giving up. Now, because embracing our truths doesn't always bring us accolades and approval from others, a third thing that we must do is we must learn to love ourselves. We've heard this before, love yourself. But this is the perspective I'd like to share. You know, on those days when we receive little to no affirmation from the outside world, when our minds are taunting us with questions like, am I doing the right thing? Should I have stayed in my old job? Should I have stayed in that old relationship? Will my family ever accept me? Will I be okay? We have to be able to look within and like what we see. I've also learned that embracing our past by forgiving ourselves and others is yet another important step that we must take in embracing our truth. You know, unforgiveness is like stabbing ourselves with a knife and expecting the person that did us wrong to feel the pain. Does that relate to anybody in here? I feel like we have to understand that forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for ourselves. It's something we do for ourselves. If we refuse to forgive, we cling to self-defeating feelings of shame, blame, hurt, and resentment. But if we forgive, this is like an emotional house cleaning. It lets us make room for the good that we desire. With forgiveness, we can let go of the past and turn to other things, more important things in our life, such as how to be truly happy, how to thrive, with a sense that we are joyfully fulfilling our life's purpose. Another universal truth I think we all need to do in order to embrace our truth is that we must be able to persevere through pushback. You know, as we begin to embrace various facets of our authentic self, the pushback that we receive may come in the form of questions like, don't you care what this is doing to me? Aren't you being selfish? Oh my goodness. How many times I had to really sit and ponder and wrestle with these questions. But you know what? The more I did, I realized that there is a significant difference in being selfish and self-honoring. Understanding this, I realized that to bring the best version of myself to my friends and loved ones, to my colleagues in the workplace, to my spiritual community, and to the world, I had to first be my authentic self. After all, I can only be honest with others to the degree that I'm willing to be honest with myself. So you might be thinking, Gabrielle, if authenticity is so beneficial, then why aren't more people living authentically? Well, I think one answer to this question is because we become so focused on the perceived risk of the pain and loss that we might experience as a result of living as our authentic self, that we fail to notice that there's also a price to pay for living inauthentically. And I think this is the part of authenticity that many of us miss. My goodness, I missed this for 40 years of my life. What I didn't know then that I now know is that authenticity, living inauthentically, comes at an even greater cost. You see, with every inauthentic step I took, I created greater distance between myself and my loved ones, my friends, my spiritual community, and even myself. I built my life on an unstable foundation of sinking sand. Consequently, over the last 14 years, I've had to live my life, as I've lived my life authentically, I have had to spend time repairing the damage that I left in my inauthentic wake. Y'all, it's like getting into debt. Getting into debt is so easy and can happen instantaneously. Getting out of debt is a whole other story. Debt impacts our credit. It requires financial sacrifices, and it takes years to overcome. Well, living inauthentically has the same impact on our lives. Well, after I started repairing the damage that I had left in my inauthentic wake, I learned that the world was actually getting a better version of me. After coming out to my youngest daughter, Samantha, during those early years in my transition, she spent time getting to know the real me. And one evening we were out to dinner. She surprised me by saying, she said, Gabrielle, out of respect of my gender identity, my daughter calls me Gabrielle, even though she acknowledges and honors me as her parent. She says, Gabrielle, you're actually a better parent now as your authentic self. Y'all, I was floored when I heard her say this. I realized that living authentically was not only benefiting me, but now it was benefiting her. And as time has gone on, I have seen how aspects of being authentic has benefited my life. I am now a better friend, colleague, business owner, mentor, partner, parent, and grandparent. I don't want to see anybody doing math in your head. And so much more. You know, being able to live as our authentic self is something that I really feel like that we all desire to do. But sometimes we have to see someone else modeling what their authenticity can look like in order for us to be inspired to take our own courageous first steps. So this dispels the myth right here, y'all, that you're not living your life just for you. You're living your life for everyone else around you as well. How you show up either makes people braver or it makes them pull back. Okay, so this is an invitation to ask yourself, how are you living your life? Remember I said earlier how the journey of authenticity is not meant to be traveled alone? Well, this is where the power of community comes in. Y'all, this room, everyone in this room can be the difference in someone merely surviving to them flourishing and thriving. You know, in those early years of my transition, when I was ostracized from my family, when I was fired by my employer, when I was judged and ridiculed by those in my spiritual community, when I was homeless and jobless for a season, like I shared with you earlier, when I felt all alone, had it not been for me finding a trans-affirming congregation here in the Atlanta area, I shudder to think where I would be. You see, this congregation allowed me to have this experiential level of knowing who I am, that I actually am a woman, and that I would be okay in our trans, unaffirming world. This community became the wind beneath my wings. This community allowed me to try Gabrielle on. You might be thinking, what does that mean, Gabrielle? What that means is every Sunday morning, every Wednesday night, on every time the doors of that congregation was open, Gabrielle was showing up in her fullness and all of her glory. All right? This congregation allowed me to have not only the cognitive and intuitive levels of knowing of who I am, they allowed me to have this experiential level of knowing, this internal-external alignment of my outside and internal knowing of who I am. I could show up in all of those ways, y'all. They allowed me to be me on a whole new level. And as a result, they became my family. As I shared with you earlier, this community was my lifeline. They cheered me on when I succeeded. They picked me up when I felt like I couldn't take another step. In fact, some of the members of this community were my very first clients when I started my earliest vocational iteration as a trans woman. I had a cleaning company. Some of those members were my very first clients. This community also allowed me and honored and valued the gifts of ministry that I brought to that community. See, they not only allowed me to show up as me, but they were allowing me to integrate the full width, breadth, and depth of me into this community, okay? I joined the choir, which I ended up directing. By the way, I love all your songs. I was elected to serve on the executive board. I started a trans support group, and get this, I was actually invited, even encouraged, to play on the women's softball team. How about that, right? What this community didn't know is that by allowing me to bring my gifts of ministry to that congregation, they were positioning me and preparing me for my life of activism. What they didn't know, when I was up there on the chancel at that congregation, sharing certain perspectives during services or events, they didn't know that I would be working with global organizations today, helping them do and be better for my community. You see how this works? That community became a place of belonging for me. You know, some of us have to ask the question before we step into a space, am I going to be safe? Well, belonging is steps beyond safety, in my opinion. I not only was safe in this space, I knew I belonged. I knew I was a part of that community. You know, you might be thinking, Gabrielle, what does authenticity have to do with the power of community? Well, as Brene Brown says, can y'all tell I'm a Brene Brown fan? Who in here is a Brene Brown fan? Okay, y'all get me now. She says true belonging happens only when we present our authentic selves to the world. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our own self-acceptance. Because of this, I think if we truly want to create affirming and welcoming spaces for the width, breadth, and depth of humanity, not just for gender diverse people, but for the width, breadth, and depth of humanity, we must step back, reevaluate our strategies, and focus not so much on what we must do, but who we must become. Each of us must become our authentic selves. Only you know what that looks like for you. But the beautiful thing about authenticity is that authenticity is contagious. Authenticity begets more authenticity. And where authenticity abounds, it informs how we show up, how we advocate, how we support one another. You, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, you have the power to leave a ripple of possibility and hope for everyone who steps through your doors. And it starts with you. I'm reminded of what Mahatma Gandhi admonishes us to do. He says, live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. So the question is, what will you do with that? Are you willing to live your life fiercely, out loud, unapologetically, without allowing others' expectations to determine who you should be and how you should show up? Well, I hope that you will do that, because the world needs each of you now more than ever. And so it is.
Thank you so much for those inspiring words. Well, please rise in body or spirit or both with our most authentic voices for our final hymn of this amazing service. Thank you. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. keep the chalice lit within your heart.